The 12th of August was a remarkable day. It was a bad hair day for the internet, and certainly the press ran these extravagant stories. The internet had broken. And when you sort of picked apart all of this, it wasn't really that the internet had broken. The size of the routing table had just managed to edge up over this magic number of 512,000 entries. Now, the way the internet actually ships packets around is that every major packet switch needs to have a complete knowledge of all possible destinations. We call that the routing table. And when the internet first started, there was only a few thousand entries in it. As we grow, the routing table grows. These days, it grows by about 50,000 entries per year. Slow, steady, it's like a machine. But equipment isn't infinite. It has a finite amount of memory. And if you pull apart a router, lift the lid off, have a look inside, you find that there's certain memory devoted to particular things. One of the specialist pieces of memory is what we call ternary content addressable memory. It's a long name for a very, very sophisticated operation. You throw an address into the memory, that's content, and it tells you where to deliver the packet, like magic. And even more, it does it in one memory cycle. Brilliant. TCAM is expensive, very expensive. It uses something like 24 transistors per bit as compared to the usual 6. So you can't put in infinite amounts of TCAM. When you make a device, you have to decide how long that device is going to be fielded for and how big the routing table is going to be during the life of that device. So what we saw from equipment that's about 10 years old is that the default configuration of that equipment was maximum number of V4 entries, 512K. Same from Cisco, came from Brocade, came from a number of folk. And up until the 12th of August, fine. The network was never that big, it just worked. But when that inexorable 150 networks, new networks per day, got to this 512K limit, the router goes, I give up. Crash, burn, whatever, I give up. And these, there wasn't a lot of them, but a few folk just simply had a bad hair day. Was it predictable? Of course it is. The actual network grows incredibly predictably. You should understand when you buy equipment how long and how it's designed for. You know, what are the parameters in growth? And part of the presentation I was doing on this is to actually explore how fast does the network grow? What can we expect in 4 years' time or 10 years' time? And it's certainly true that about a megabyte, or at least 1 million entries in the routing table, would be a reasonable thing to have in your routers that you're going to buy today. And if you've got anything less than 600,000, get something better. Or take default. But if you want a full routing table, that's not going to work. But there's more to it than that. And as usual, when you peel these things off, it's like an onion, there's more and more. The other part is speed, size and speed. And we've been talking a lot recently about not only 400 gigabit wires, but terabit wires. Because not only does the router have to handle all these routing entries, but it has to handle it at the maximal packet rate. 1 terabit of data is an awful lot of packets. And in fact, in the worst case, you get a packet every 0.6 of a nanosecond. That's 0.6 of a billionth of a second. So you need to consult memory and look something up at 0.6 of a billionth of a second. The problem today is the fastest memory we have is about twice as slow as that, 1.5, 1.6 nanoseconds. So you sort of think, well, hang on a second, how fast are we making chips go faster? Moore's law says they double in size every 18 months, and that's true, but they don't double in speed. Oddly enough, computers are not getting faster quickly. It's much more slower than that. So if the terabit network is only a couple of years away, and that's certainly what it seems, and we've got routing equipment that is about twice as slow as it needs to be, how do we fill the gap? Are we really able to switch a terabit network at terabit speeds if the basic property of memory, the cycle speed, isn't getting fast enough, quick enough? And I, for one, have no real answer here. Well, I must admit, No one lets me make equipment, and that's probably a good thing. But even so, there are no clear signals on how we're going to handle this. It's clear we need terabit, it's clear we need those speeds, but it's not clear how we're actually going to make the silicon work at the necessary speed to match the demand. So the next couple of years, fascinating developments. But the other message about this, if you're running 10-year-old equipment, throw it out.